Good morning, friends, and welcome to another episode of a Hasty Podcast. I'm your host, Weston Hasty, and you're listening to a Hasty Podcast. Oh, my goodness. I just got back up after a, sort of fake nap. So the energy levels might be a little lacking today, but I am here, and I am recording, and this is a podcast episode. If you're new to the podcast, I'm Weston, and we talk about whatever just happens to be on my mind. Sometimes we do these weekly. Sometimes they are more than that. Sometimes they're long. They're less than that. Sometimes they're an hour long. Sometimes they're not. It's a kind of all over the place podcast that hasn't really found its footing yet in my mind and in my opinion. But what we use it for is to talk about whatever's on my mind, whether it be video games or some TV show or some bit of news or something that's going on in my life or just whatever. And this is my opportunity to talk at length to myself, but to you guys, more importantly, because I guess apparently I like to listen to myself talk, maybe, I don't know, but welcome to my podcast. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy your stay. I do this thing here lately where I am just constantly freaking tired, and I don't know if I don't have enough, iron? What is it you need in your system to, not be tired all the freaking time, right? I don't know what it is. I feel it all the time now. I just want to be in bed, asleep, and just never wake up. And man, I swear to you, I used to not be like this. I don't know if it's the years and years of, 4 hours of sleep finally catching up to me. And I need to have, a really long, 10-year sleep cycle. Was that Rip Van Winkle? Do you remember that story? What was the story of Rip Van Winkle? I'm gonna Google it right now. Hang on. Rip Van Nope, Wrinkle isn't spelled with an A. Rankle. Rip Van Winkle. Rip Van Winkle. What was his deal? He went to sleep, right? Rip Van Winkle is a short story by the American author Washington Irving. First published in 1819, it follows a Dutch-American villager in colonial America named Rip Van Winkle, who meets mysterious Dutchmen, imbibes their liquor, and falls asleep in the Catskill Mountains. He awakes 20 years later to a very changed world, having missed the American Revolution. That's what I need. I need a 20-year nap. I need to imbibe some mysterious Dutch liquor and fall asleep in the mountains for 20 years. That sounds amazing to me. That sounds like a great time, right? I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah, no, I was just getting some work done today, and I'm like, man, I'm just not feeling motivated to keep working. I can hardly keep my eyes open. I'm just gonna go lie down for an hour, and of course that turned into a little over 2 or something like that, and I kind of was kind of dozing off, kind of not, looked at the time, thought it was 4 in the morning for some reason, and I was very confused, didn't know where I was. I don't know. This is just me slowly losing out to time or life or something like that. Anyway, I'm awake now. I've got a glass of water to get me all hydrated. Perhaps that is part of the problem. I've had some coffee today. I was a little fancy with my coffee today. I got hold of, I typically drink this Folgers Black Silk coffee. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes there's a Hill Bros coffee that I drink. I usually look for the dark roast stuff, and I usually look for generic brand or something just kind of cheap or something like that. I try not to get into the fancy coffees. Just something kind of cheaper and something easy to get. Just drip coffee, black coffee. That's my kind of coffee. But I did get a little fancy, and I added some Irish cream to it and some cinnamon sugar. I gave that a mix or whatever. Ooh, had a couple mugs of that. That was delicious. That was my dessert coffee this morning, since I didn't have anything. I didn't have anywhere to go today, so I'm I'm going to treat myself to a fancy coffee. That's my idea of a fancy coffee. A fancy coffee this morning. Did some streaming. Played a game called, what was it called? Bad North. Had to think about it. This game called Bad North. It was a lot of fun. I'll probably talk about that at some point. Finished streaming, had some lunch, and my lunch consisted of Huel. I think I'm about to uncover why I'm so tired. Today I've had coffee, I've had a glass of Huel, and I've had a glass of water, and I realize I don't think I haven't eaten anything substantial today. Huel counts vaguely, but it was like probably not nearly enough calories. I think that's what's happening. I think I'm going into starvation mode. I think my body's like, you officially do not have enough calories to be awake today. We'll try again tomorrow. I think that's what it is. I think after we record this, I'm going to go eat as many calories as I can. I'm going to go wrap up an entire pizza. I'm going to bake a pizza. I'm deciding. I'm going to bake it kind of soft, and then I'm going to roll it into a giant taquito, and then bake it some more, and then eat it like a giant taquito. That sounds like a great idea. I think that sounds amazing. Just like a giant roll-up type situation. I'm digressing pretty hard. Well, I didn't really start a topic today. This is one of my ramble episodes. You know, I've been struggling lately with something, and I guess I'm just gonna talk about it. Because why not? This won't be like an everyday thing, so maybe this will be a fun topic to come back to every now and again. You know, dating is hard. Dating is hard. I've previously talked about, I don't know what to call the topic exactly, because it was kind of a weird one. Back in, what month is it? I don't remember, October or whatever. What's that gay pride month? That gay pride month. Yeah, that's what I'm going to call it. Sure, why not? I had an episode on the podcast where I talked about Gay Pride Month and that I didn't really know what it was and had done some research and learned a few things. But then I also spent the back half of that episode talking about my own sexuality and my own experience with that side of who I am, and explaining how I'd kind of come to this conclusion that for the longest time, I've sort of mislabeled myself or misunderstood myself, and I identify as gray sexual, which, not to get into a long diatribe of what that means, the reason I'm explaining this now is because it's a good preface for some of my issues I think I'm having here lately. But yeah, basically it just means that I'm not super sexually interested in people. It's on the asexual spectrum where you're not very interested in people in that way. The gray part of the gray sexual just means that there are some complications. It's a little bit more complicated than that. There's some exceptions. There's some caveats to that, basically. But needless to say, it's on that sort of asexual spectrum. So when I see somebody that I'm interested in, I'm not like, ooh, I'm like interested in getting intimate with that person. I'm usually interested in, I want to get to know that person. If like I haven't come to the best conclusion about where I am romantically. I don't necessarily identify as aromantic necessarily, but the more I've sort of dived into, or at least tried to dive into relationships, I might be on that verge, on the spectrum between romantic or aromantic. I might be leaning aromantic. I don't know enough about that world of things, and that's different from sexuality, because romantic versus aromantic describes how you approach your non-sexual relationships with people. So you can have a romantic relationship with somebody that can be a sexual one or not a sexual one, for example, right? You can have a romantic relationship, like you want to hold hands and share secrets and support one another or whatever. That could be a romantic relationship, for example. That has, I think, in my brain, it seemed like appealing to me. So I'm like, okay, I'm not aromantic, I'm hetero-romantic, because in my brain, I like the idea of having a romantic relationship with a partner of the opposite sex of mine, which makes me hetero-romantic. But like I said, I'm gray sexual. I'm not that interested in a sexual relationship necessarily. I'm not asexual, but I'm gray sexual. So it's a little bit more complicated than that, but that's where that is. I don't want to dive into that for too long, but that's your preface, right? So you have an understanding a little bit of what's in my brain when I'm going into the world of dating and that sort of thing. And I'll tell you what, the COVID thing for the last 2 years has definitely made seeing people in person difficult, but we're kind of coming out of it these days, right? I think so. Depending on where you're at, your story might be different, but especially around me, we've been kind of coming out of COVID. People are out and about more, seeing each other more. There's a lot less restrictions. Mask mandates are being lifted, that kind of thing. So we're kind of entering this space where more and more people are getting out and being a little bit more open to stuff. And I'm starting to try to go in that direction a little bit, but I'm also like a homebody, right? I'm a homebody. I don't like going out too much. I like being at home. I like being in front of my computer, working on the things that I like doing, which is like my YouTube, this podcast, writing stuff, playing video games, watching movies. I'm a homebody, but I also like getting out from time to time. I like getting a dose of that sunlight from time to time. I like to go out and run. I like to kind of go out and like do something fun, see the world, like, I don't have a ton of friends in my immediate vicinity, so it's hard to, like, have a very sudden, like, impromptu, let's go do a thing real quick. But I like going out to eat, seeing people, that kind of thing. I do like getting out, but my opportunities for doing so aren't huge to begin with, and my desire to get outside isn't, like, crazy high. I used to enjoy, like, camping and stuff like that, so I'm not, like, an anti-nature guy. I'm not, like, against nature, but for the most part, I stay indoors, which means... The reason I explain all this is that means I don't have the opportunity to meet a lot of people in person out of, like, say, happenstance. So, like, running into people at a bar. There's a couple bars I like to go to at my hometown, just because it's a small town bar. I can kind of go in and it's kind of, like, chill. I can get a couple drinks and kind of get out. Unfortunately, that does mean at my small hometown bars, there are not people there that I'm interested in meeting in any kind of romantic fashion. There's one bar I like to go to from time to time that runs an older crowd where they're kind of fun to listen to because they have a lot of life experiences ahead of mine, and I like talking to these people and it's fun, but I'm not romantically interested in anybody. Most of them are already like married and kids and all that kind of stuff, so it's not like that kind of atmosphere. And the other bar that usually swings a bit younger crowd, they're not people that I'm interested in. No, connection there, no sort of shared interests. It's a small town bar. I'm not interested in small town things, I guess. Apparently, I'm not a let's go mudding and let's go hunting and whatever kind of like minded individual. And I guess the women out there that might be around the small town bar that might share my interests probably don't go out to small town bars, so I don't run into a lot of people there, for example. So there's that. Other places where I might run into people, I just don't have the opportunity to. Like if I'm out grocery shopping, I'm not on the hunt to meet people, right? I think most people aren't on the hunt to like suddenly bump into and fall madly in love with somebody at the grocery store or whatever. My opportunities for meeting people in person is very limited, is what I'm trying to say. So I have fallen into the trap. I have fallen into the deep trap of trying to online date. And I've been trying to do it for a while. I say trying. I've had very limited success. Very limited success. Especially in the realm of going from meeting someone online to meeting someone in person. That has been a very difficult gap. I don't know if it's because my charisma via text is not nearly as strong as it is in person, because all of you are listening to me speak, and you know how charismatic an individual I am when I'm talking out loud, but over text, perhaps it doesn't translate. I'm not entirely sure. But I've got a number of dating apps I've tried to use to varying degrees of, I don't even want to say success, just varying degrees of use. I don't want to call any of it success, because I do remain a very single individual and have not been a not single individual for any length of time for a long time, basically. I've touched on the usual suspects. I've touched on Tinder, Bumble, Hinge. I even tried, out of morbid curiosity with no expectations of this, Facebook dating. Do you know Facebook has a dating service, I guess? It's not its own app, it's on the Facebook app, and it has a dating service. I'll tell you what, I don't trust that service. I do not trust that part of Facebook. I have seen so many profiles of just clearly prostitutes on, like, they're being pretty open about it without calling themselves prostitutes. They're like massage therapists, wink, but they're willing to give you a good time, wink, if you call this number or pay this money or whatever, wink. You know, that like that kind of thing where it's like, are you, this is prostitution solicitation. Am I wrong? Am I right? I'm confused. So if that's not being investigated by authorities, it probably should be, because there's clearly something going on there. Look, I'm not trying to be a narc for anybody looking for a good time or whatever. I try not to judge people. I'm not someone who's going to like try to bash the sex industry, but like, listen, it seems dangerous to me to pop on Facebook dating and attempt to solicit those types of relations with very dubious, shady women. I don't know. It's very shady and sketchy, and I don't know how to explain to you these profiles I've run into on Facebook dating where I get the vibe that either they're not real people and there's some kind of scam involved, or they're real people that will try to like shank you and steal your kidney if you meet them in some sort of hotel somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like I get criminal vibes. That's why I said it should be getting investigated. It's not just like it doesn't feel innocent. I get vibes where it's like, oh, this is like a bad movie going to happen. So anyway, I would warn you away from Facebook dating. Although the one thing I would say that I appreciate about Facebook dating and Hinge, both those apps, they take the approach that if someone likes your profile, they show up in a list that you can immediately see who's liked you and you can like back or not like back. Whereas something like Tinder or Bumble thrive on the fact that, oh, if someone likes you, they'll tell you someone's liked you, but then not show you that person unless you pay for it or you just happen to come across their profile in their app randomly, or at least seemingly randomly. I don't know how much of that's random and how much of that's by design. But I will say between Hinge and Facebook, I appreciate that when someone likes you, you can immediately look and make a decision without having to like sift through a bunch of random profiles to try to find that person, or by paying sometimes exorbitant amounts of money just to see who you matched with. I understand some of the money aspect with like Tinder or Bumble to look up who's liked you. If you're getting a lot of profile hits, like if a lot of people are liking you, you can try to sift through that, pay the extra money to go through everything. There's some extra perks or whatever. I can kind of see it a little bit, but I'm not someone who gets a lot of likes. I'll get like a like on my profile in a month or whatever, and I'm like, am I gonna spend the $15 to just see who this person is and then probably see that I'm not interested in this person? I don't think I'm gonna, because I will say the vast majority of people I've discovered on these apps that have shown me any remote kind of interest have not been people that I'm interested in, like just at all. Some of it just doesn't match with my what am I looking for? Interests. I can't think of the word I'm looking for. I'm just things that I'm not attracted to. Like, I've had guys like me. I'm on all of these apps. I set the settings to straight because, like I said, I'm hetero romantic. So if I'm gonna have a romantic relationship, I'm kind of seeking that with a woman, not a guy. But I've been matched with guys, not matched because I don't like back because it's not what I'm looking for. But I've been liked by guys, or it's like a trans, okay, I don't want to get it backwards, a trans guy, like a woman who's transitioned. Or sometimes I'll get men that have transitioned to woman. And that gets kind of like a weird, fuzzy, in-between ground where I'm not against transitioned people in any way for living their lives. But I look through these profiles, and a lot of transitioned people that I find on these apps are also very sex-oriented. Like, they're very interested in having a sexual relationship. And like I've previously stated, I'm not that interested. So that usually falls apart if a lot of your profile is very sex-based or like changing sex-based. Like, those interests don't typically line up with me. So oddly enough, I get pinged by transitioned people, the wrong sex people, but in terms of like what I've declared that I'm looking for. I get hit up by that more frequently than I'd like to admit. It's very strange. God, now that I think about it, it's been very bizarre. I get hit up by porn bots quite frequently. They're porn bots because the English is god awful. It'll be like, my name's Emily. Like, the name will be like Emily, or it'll be like Sarah. It'll be like a very like normal like name or whatever, and then when they speak, it is the most broken thing you've ever seen in the world, and you're like, there's no way you speak English. You are someone from somewhere else using some VPN, and you want me to like buy crypto or something. You want me, you know what I mean? You it's either porn where they're trying to get you to add them on their Snapchat or their Instagram. If their profile is just a Snapchat or Instagram link, that's just an immediate, probably not Instagram, it's Snapchat or something, whatever. I don't care. If it's just a link to one of those, I'm out. Because either you're some kind of porn-based influencer that doesn't really care about me but wants my attention, or you're literally some kind of prostitute or scammer or something that wants my money. I don't know. Out of giggles, I've played around with this because I don't use my Snapchat, so I don't care if it burns and rots. So I tried this once where I followed someone's Snapchat to see what was going on, what this was all about. And yeah, needless to say, after some brief conversation, turns out they were just a sex worker with, an OnlyFans or whatever. And they just do this with hundreds, if not thousands of guys. They go to these dating apps, try to like show interest. You go follow them on Snapchat. Then they drop the, oh, by the way, OnlyFans. I'm not interested in that. Again, I've prefaced this already. That is not who I am, and that's not what I'm interested in. So I get a lot of that, a lot of solicitations to follow Snapchats. I've talked to people that have been legitimate people that want to talk over on a different app besides the dating app, and they want like Snapchat. I hate Snapchat. I hate Snapchat so much, and I hate that apparently is the number one source of conversation everyone wants to use on these dating apps. You got Snapchat? You got Snapchat? It's like, yes, but I hate it. I just don't like Snapchat. But then again, with as little luck as I've had in meeting people online, it's better that I hand out my Snapchat than my actual phone number. So I guess there's that. There's that to go with it. I'd rather people just follow me on Twitter. I'd say, I don't have Snapchat, but you can follow my Twitter. That would be better, right? Mutually beneficial. I follow your thing, you follow my thing. It'll be follow for follow. We met on Tinder. Anyway, I've had zero success on Tinder. Like zero. Nothing good has come from Tinder ever. Nothing good. I've had conversations on Tinder. They have not been worthwhile. No woman puts any effort into actually talking to me. Like again, because of who I am, I'm trying to start a conversation. I'll ask questions and try to start topics of conversation. I get like one-line responses back to stuff, right? Or like you have to wait a day or two between messages. I'm never invested in any conversation I've ever had on Tinder, which we all know what Tinder is primarily known for is people like trying to hook up. I get that. I know that. I'm just swinging wild doing all these apps, right? Just to see what I can find. I've met a couple of genuine people, but we just didn't connect in any way. The interests weren't there. Very superficial conversations. Every conversation I've been in, it's like I'm doing all the legwork. I'm the only one trying to make any effort to do anything whatsoever. Bumble's been an interesting one where Bumble's been a very interesting one. So the rule about Bumble is that if two people match, the woman in the relationship, the female, I don't know how it works for gay relationships on Bumble. I don't know if it's just a toss. I don't know how that works. Or homosexual relationships or otherwise. But in heterosexual relationships, the woman has to message first if you match. That one's been very interesting to me because that kind of flips the script a little bit. I don't have to do all the legwork to start a conversation. The other one does. The partner has to in my circumstance. So that's been very interesting because I'm always curious to see how another person will start a conversation with me instead of me trying to start a conversation with another person. I'm always very curious to see how that goes because it flips the script. Varying degrees of success there. Usually failures. It'll be something like someone will just say hi or hello, very low effort. Like literally just not like an introduction whatsoever, just literally hello. Oh, come on, give me more than that. I couldn't tell you how many profiles I've read from women complaining about men who do the same thing. It's like, don't just say hello if we match. I kind of understand why you wouldn't want that because I've been on the other side of that where I just get hello. It's like, well, what do I do with that? And I get it. It's just a shady way of them trying to get me to be the real message first. Okay, whatever. But there's been that. I've had people match and then they let the timer run out and they never message me. I've had people match and then they start a conversation and then I'll talk back and then I'll never hear back from them, like that kind of stuff. So it's very strange because it seems like Bumble tries to put the onus on the women to be like very forward and like push the conversation, but I have not met a lot of women willing to do so. So it's a strange app for people to be using that if they're not willing to do that. Here recently, I've been liked by, this is kind of funny. I don't know what's going on here. On both Tinder and Bumble, when someone likes you, you can kind of see a blurred out version of their profile picture, right? And I don't know who that's supposed to fool. I always immediately recognize that photo if it comes up in my regular feed. It's like, oh yeah, this is the clear version of the blurry photo in my liked feed. So I know who this is. I've been liked by somebody on Tinder before. And I found their profile randomly. I liked it. We matched. I tried to start a conversation. Nothing. Radio silence. Some time goes by. They must have unliked me because they were no longer in my matches feed. The time goes by. It's been that's been a while. I think that was back in like December or something like that. Just here recently, same person, same profile, same everything. I know this for a fact. Comes up on my Tinder feed, has liked me. She appears on my Bumble likes as well. So she's liked me on Bumble and Tinder in the span of like, literally this just happened like in the last week. I'm not on these apps very often anymore because, no success. Like they suck. These apps suck. But she's liked me on both of these things. I found her on Bumble, just flipping through the feed or whatever. It didn't take very long. Found her. Liked her back just out of sheer curiosity because I know this has failed before. She left me on just 0, on just nothing before. So I'm like, okay, well, this is weird. She liked me again for the second time. Let's see if this goes anywhere. Hit her a like so that we matched. She's got 24 hours to send me the first message on Bumble because that's how Bumble works. The next morning, because this was, I was just scrolling through like at like 10 at night or whatever. Next morning, I go to check to see how we progress on the match status. She's unliked me. Gone. It's gone already. And I'm like, what? Why though? Because I went over to my Tinder profile, and on that she's still in my likes feed. I haven't found her randomly on that yet. So she's apparently liked me on both Tinder, now twice, and on Bumble, but every time I try to start any kind of remote conversation, not only do I get nothing back, I get like removed, like unmatched. I'm like, why are you bothering? If you're not even remotely interested in starting a conversation, why did you swipe right? I don't know. Maybe it's a scam person. I've never had the chance to talk to them to find out. Their profile seems legit. They've got a few photos that seem legit. They've got some text in there that seems written by a legit person. It seems legit. I'm very curious to know what's up with this person. I'm not that interested in a relationship with them because at this point we're already off to a very rocky start. But I just desperately want like one message to be like, hey, so what's going on with all these likes you keep sending me or whatever, but you don't want to ever talk. But I guess that's just never going to happen. Hinge has been an odd one. I get some of the most genuine conversations out of Hinge, although it's not been very many of them because of the nature of Hinge. Unless you pay for it, your free use of it, you only get to like so many profiles in a day. And of all of them that I've talked about, Hinge is the most restricted. I don't remember how many it is. It's like 10 or something. It's not very many likes you get a day. So you don't really go through very many people potentially in a day. But like I said, what's nice about it is that the people that you do send a like to, so long as they're using the app and checking, they'll see your profile because it shows up in your profile, in your like likes or whatever. So I've had a few conversations with people there, but it's not led anywhere. I had one successful conversation. We talked for a long time. Lengthy messages too. I was very excited about this one. So much so that we got into communication. The downside to this one is that we're not located very close to each other. We were about 2 hours apart from each other, but our conversations were going so well. We were getting along very well, had some similar interests, and I figured, let's go meet up or whatever, see if we can put together some time to go out and get some food or whatever. I'll do the driving. I'll go up, meet her where she's at, and the first kind of like date that we had went, I thought, really well. Kept talking after that. We had a second date that I thought went pretty well as well, but after that, things like I thought it went pretty well. She must have thought it didn't go as well or whatever. Maybe we were just kind of like not getting the same vibe there. And we ends up messaging me back, hey, she messages me back like, hey, I'm not interested in another date. I think you're great. Nothing's wrong. I just don't think I'm interested in that kind of thing, which, very mature. That's what it was. I felt really bad about that. It was like a minor, like I'm crushed a little bit, because I was disappointed that it didn't kind of work out, because I thought she was pretty great, and she kind of said the same thing, like, hey, you're great, but I just don't think we're gonna go any further than this or whatever. So that is what it is. So Hinge has been the most successful like date story I've had, despite the fact that I don't get a lot out of Hinge because you can't go through as many profiles. But quality over quantity, I suppose, which is really nice. Because the opposite end of that spectrum, like Facebook dating, is there's no limit on Facebook dating. You can just swipe to your heart's content. And it is a toss-up here on Facebook dating. In the last couple of weeks, I've been kind of perusing it. I don't use it very much, but I like to pop in from time to time and swipe through a couple profiles and then just kind of pop off or whatever. And it is shooting wild at me. It is swinging wild, trying to figure out what I'm into. At this point, I'm very confused. It is sending me people way outside of my age range. Like I started getting real sketched out. It stopped sending me the massage prostitutes here lately, but now it's sending me like 19-year-old girls, and I'm like, that is not at all in my age, my requested age range at all. 19 is just too young. I prefer my women capable of drinking legally, at least. Right? I'm a 28-year-old man. I don't need to be dating someone 10 years younger than me. All right? So I prefer my women at least able to drink. I'm open-minded about age, but there is a too young, and like 19 is too young in my head. You have no world experience yet. I have no idea how we're going to connect or relate. I've made plenty of, I've had plenty of friendly, like work relationships with a lot of the kids that I work with at Subway. I work at Subway. I'm a manager there, and we hire a lot of kids from out of high school to this do part-time work or whatever. And I love the lingo. I love kind of hanging out like, hey kids. I like doing the it's lit fam, and like I make myself like the biggest like dork dad at Subway possible, right, for these kids. And I'm on Facebook dating. It's like, oh, here's a 19-year-old you might be interested in, and I'm like, no, that is far too close to the kids I work with. That is not okay. I'm not all right with that. Abort. So Facebook's swinging wild. Like I said, that is well below the age I requested in my settings. But also, it's sending me profiles from all over the frickin' country now. Like, apparently there's no one in Illinois using Facebook dating that Facebook thinks I'm capable of dating, because I'm getting people from Kentucky, from Tennessee, from Minnesota, I'm in Illinois. It is just swinging wild here. It's kind of all around Illinois. Like I said, Tennessee, Kentucky, Minnesota, that kind of thing. I'm not getting like California or like, I don't know, Maine or something, but it is well out of state. I actually had a mind-boggling conversation. Someone liked me from Kentucky here somewhat recently, and out of curiosity, I kind of went through the profile. I'm like, okay, she seems kind of like maybe she's neat or whatever, but there's not a lot of info. She didn't have much going on in her bio. She really didn't have I don't remember. She had like nothing written in her bio, or it was like one line. I don't even remember what it was now, but she had like her interests listed and some pictures or whatever. I'm like, okay, I'll like her back. We'll immediately match and we'll see where this goes. And I was so confused with this woman. I do not know if she was real or not. I think her account at least is being run by somebody real, but I can't figure out if it's her, if it's someone else. I can't tell if she's just kind of dumb, because I started I opened this conversation basically with, oh, haha, what's a girl from Kentucky doing, sending a like to someone from Illinois, so far apart or whatever. I kind of did a joke. I kind of slipped that in there or whatever. And I kind of had like a semi, not a lengthy message, but a few to several lines or whatever to try to break the ice. I don't remember what all I said in it. It's like, oh, but let's talk or whatever. And then they send back, later on in the day, I think I sent her back that, like, kind of like in the morning-ish, but in the evening or something like that, I got back this one line, like, "You a cutie," which is already going to, is a huge red flag to me. Anytime someone compliments my appearance, I just assume you're a robot, or, again, one of those OnlyFans accounts or something. I've never had my appearance complimented on a dating app by anybody who wasn't seeking an ulterior motive, like me joining an OnlyFans or something. And especially after I did the whole, like, whoa, what's someone like you liking me from Illinois or whatever, like that whole conversation. Sending back "you a cutie" does not really answer any of my questions, unless you want to say that, oh, the reason she liked my profile is because apparently I'm cute. But, like, it was one line with no further elaboration. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to put all this effort and groundwork and legwork into trying to start a conversation and get these freaking one-line responses back. So I immediately tap back, like, okay, you're clearly a robot. I don't know where this is going to go. That didn't address any of my stuff. Like, I came at her with hostility. And I expected no response. But then I got a response back, like, oh, no, I'm real or whatever. I didn't mean to, like, offend you or blah, blah, blah. And I send back, like, okay, well, if you're real, then I apologize, all right, for accusing you of not being real. But I swear, like, I don't trust these types of responses, you know? Like, people send this kind of crap all the time. I had this other kind of lengthy explanation. And then she sends back something like, oh, I guess you are kind of far, though, but we should totally do something sometime. And I'm like, well, like you said, we're kind of far. What do you have in mind? It's going to have to be something remote. And then she responds back something like, I'm going to take my shot. We should do something sometime. And I'm like, you already said that. You just said that. Like, you just said that. You said, let's do something. I said, what do you think we should do? And then you said, we should do something. That is not a response. So I sent back, like, okay, well, you're clearly still a robot. If you're not a robot, say banana. And then she, later messages back, like, banana or whatever. And I'm like, I'm losing my mind here. Like, are you real or are you not real? I had this long conversation. She finally stopped talking to me because I kept sending messages. I'm like, I'll make sure you're the last one talking to me. I'm the last one talking is what I meant. I'm like, I'll keep sending you messages until you give up on me, but I'm not taking this anywhere, basically. I literally, even now, I have no idea if she was a real person, a robot, or just kind of dumb. I don't know. Like, I couldn't figure it out in this conversation, but, like, that was such a disappointment because I'm so used to now getting all my hits from, like, likes from people that just are not real people that want genuine connections. But that's on Facebook dating. I've had, like, so little success over there, like, in terms of even scoring a conversation with people. There's some weirdness on Facebook dating. Like I said, the most genuine conversations I've gotten were from Hinge, and that's been nice. And I swear, I can't avoid it now. I feel like I'm constantly plagued by freaking porn bots or whatever. I got a random text. This wasn't even a dating app. I got a random text from someone. I don't remember how it started. This was a while ago now, but it was something like, I don't know, it was like she was looking for somebody named, I don't know, like a Michael or like a Steven or something. I don't remember what it was. I'm like, oh no, you got the wrong number. It's me. And she's like, oh, I'm such a ditz. I have the number wrong or whatever. I got this number from this guy from, I think she said Hinge, actually, which is what actually tipped me off. I thought it was very strange. She's like, I got this number from Hinge, and then he gave me this number or whatever. He must have given me the wrong number. Oh no. Blah, blah, blah. And I kind of felt bad about that. I'm like, oh, well, that really sucks. Because as someone who using Hinge, I was like, okay, I also use Hinge, and that really sucks or whatever. We got talking a little bit. Super genuine. The way she texted was kind of odd, but I couldn't tell if maybe she was just a bit younger than me and had some different weird text lingo or whatever. Like, some things were just abbreviated, kind of funny. I don't remember what they were exactly. It wasn't a huge tip-off exactly. It wasn't terrible grammar. It was just, like, kind of text grammar. So I wasn't super tipped off about this being sketchy or whatever. It seemed like a genuine conversation. And we were talking for a little bit until eventually it started getting kind of weird. All of a sudden I'm getting like, how did it start? I think she sent me like a picture or whatever of her. Allegedly. It's not her, by the way. Spoiler alert, it's not her. She sends me a picture of allegedly her and wants to have like a picture back. I'm like, oh, well, this might be moving a little faster or whatever. I don't really know you yet or whatever. And it started getting very strange very fast. I don't remember the turn of events, but it went from, it seemed like a relatively genuine conversation about a mix-up over a phone number to eventually like sending me pictures and asking for pictures back. I just started taking pictures of like stuff or whatever as a joke, like, you know, nothing sexual. It wasn't anything like that. And her pictures weren't sexual yet either. She was kind of like, kind of sexually dressed, but it wasn't like a sexual thing yet, right? She wasn't like exposing anything, right? And then it was. So like I'm sending back like jokes and stuff like, haha, this is just dumb or whatever. And then I start getting, oh, okay, you're naked. All right. No human being does this. This makes no sense. So that's when I'm getting tipped off. Like I'm starting to get these suspicions as time went on. And then I start saying like, whoa, that's going too far or whatever. And then she got all like embarrassed or upset about that or whatever. And at this point, I'm already thinking this is a robot or this is a 40-year-old dude trying to get me to sign up for something. I don't even know what. And then a couple more messages go back and forth where I just start like testing to see if it's even a robot. I start making sure my responses to her texts don't remotely address her text. They're just completely unrelated. And then she would like laugh at things that weren't jokes, you know, quote unquote laugh, that kind of thing, like as if I'm telling a joke. I was like, I'm not telling a joke. And then eventually things really ramped up. I got more random nude photos and I'm like, okay, this is clearly from like a porn site, right? Someone just took images from a porn site and they're just sending me these images is what's happening. And then yeah, long story short, they're trying to get me to sign up for like just some porn site. I don't remember what it was even called or whatever. It was just like, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. It was just some porn site. They sent me a link. They're like, there's this code or whatever. You can get all this free stuff or whatever. And I'm like, what in the heck? What was all this? This took a long time to go through. Like this was a multi-day thing. These conversations over text. And at the very beginning, it seemed so genuine and just so quickly turned in. It went from genuine to becoming a robot to becoming like a 40-year-old dude trying to get me to sign up for a scam site, right? And probably steal my credit card or something. And I'm like, wow, how did this turn this way? Like, it felt fast, but like I said, this was like a multi-day thing. So I was like, this was actually a really long con, but fell apart really fast. It was so bizarre. So I can't escape this stuff. I'm never going to fall for any of it because as soon as anything goes in that direction, I'm like, haha, yeah, no, I'm out. Because that's one, not who I am. And two, I'm not an idiot. But I can't escape this stuff. It's like every app I use, it's like someone wants something from me or someone's not real. Or I can't even get people to talk. Like these apps are depressing and I don't recommend them. I don't know if other people have found a lot of success from these apps. Actually, I know a couple of people that have found success with apps, but I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't like them. I think they're all terrible. And yeah, that's kind of my story where I'm at right now. And that's just been weighing on my mind where I'm trying to figure out like, man, I think I'm going to delete all these things, get off of this. I know who I am. I'm happy with me. I'm not even entirely sure I need to be with anybody because honestly, it seems like a lot of work. Like I said, kind of like hetero-romantic or whatever. I like the idea of being in a romantic relationship with somebody if that somebody was the right person. I like that. But that idea is like romanticized in my head, and I'm not even entirely sure if I actually want that or if I just feel like I'm supposed to like that, right? So at this point, I'm just like, I think I'm just going to give up on it and just be alone forever. I think that might be what I do. Just, you know what, I'm going to just remove all expectations and just say I'm quite happy and comfortable with myself, and that's okay. But have you found any success dating apps? You let me know on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Weston Hasty. You can use the hashtag Hasty Podcast. Tell me your dating app nightmare stories or success stories. I would love to read all about them and maybe talk about them. And maybe I'll have another update in the future if I do continue doing this thing. But I'll tell you what, man, it's hard out there. It's hard out there. But you can follow me on other socials as well. I've got an Instagram. I have a Snapchat, but I'm not going to tell you what that is. I have an Instagram. I think it's at Weston Hasty as well. You can follow me on all my things that I do. I have a YouTube channel. I have a couple of them. I have a Twitch channel. I write some poetry. I have a poetry blog. You can follow me on all my stuff and other places to listen to this podcast at westonhasty.com. That's where everything is listed. You can buy some Hasty Podcast drinkware from westonhasty.com or magicmanmo.com. Either of those places. And if you would like to support the podcast with your money, you can do so at patreon.com/Weston Hasty, where you can send me $1 or $2 just to help support the channel, get access to a extra short podcast bonus episode every week. And yeah, thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please do all of the things. But until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and wash your hands. I'm out of here. Bye.